There was a topic in the recent UPSC essay paper in the mains exam which said that with great power comes great responsibility. Now imagine if you have to write a 1,000 word essay on this. I don't know about you, but the first thing which comes to my mind when I look at this topic is Spider Man. And this is a famous dialogue from the Spider Man movie. And apart from this, I'm not sure what to do with this statement. Is the topic about the ethics of power or is it about responsibility? Should I agree with the statement or not? Is it asking me about the people who have power and responsibility, or is it some kind of inspirational or motivational statement said by somebody else? Is the topic asking me to say how things should be, or is it telling me to explain how things are? I don't know what the introduction should be like, or which side I should argue on, and how I should conclude. I don't know how all these things fit together. Right now, my mind feels a little bit like this. But still, maybe I should just agree with the statement because, after all, it sounds right. With great power comes great responsibility. But hold on, because this would have been a huge mistake. And in this video, we'll learn how to avoid these mistakes by truly understanding the topic. So, what happened when I saw this topic? There was no clarity, a jumble of meaning and ideas and examples. They all came flooding into my mind as I thought about it. And this was because I was looking at the entire statement all at once. And when this jumbled haze of mixed ideas come to your mind, it is usually an indication that you have not really understood the topic. But we need to really understand the topic well before we begin writing. It may happen that you see an essay topic in your exam and you don't know where to begin. You could choke and freeze. So once you recognize the fact that the essay topic is made up of just two or three simple elements, once you recognize this, the essay topic will become very, very easy to write about. And this video is about understanding the essay topic deeply enough before we begin writing by using a very powerful method called deconstruction. But how do you understand the essay topic deeply? How do you understand anything deeply? The best way to understand things is to break them apart, to see what everything is made up of, to see what the parts of it are. And this is exactly what physicists do with atoms and molecules. In the same way, to truly understand the essay topic, you have to deconstruct it. You have to find out what the main parts are. You have to find out how the parts fit together to make it work. So, what are the parts that the essay topic is made up of? 99% of the time, the essay topic is made up of only two simple things, which I quite literally call thing one and thing two. And these two things usually have a relationship between them, which the essay topic speaks about. Just like you know that if you take water from a river or a tap or the ocean, it is always made up of hydrogen and oxygen. In the same way, all analytical and argumentative essay topics are made up of two or three simple elements. Let's see if this makes sense. The topic that we'll consider, and this was again in the previous year uh, question paper of the UPSC, is capitalism cannot bring inclusive growth. Now, I said that there are two main things that the essay will be about. Here, one of them is capitalism, and then the other one is inclusive growth. Now, don't worry about what capitalism means or what inclusive growth means. Right now, I just want you to find out thing one and thing two. Thing one is capitalism, thing two is inclusive growth. And the relationship between them is that you can't have both of them together. So the topic says that if you have one, you won't have the other. If you have capitalism, the growth in the country will not be inclusive. This is what the topic seems to be saying. And we'll see in detail whether we have to agree with this or not. But for now, just identify thing one and thing two. And don't worry because we will be looking at a lot of examples in just a few moments. And this is just the first step in building our understanding. Let's, the essay topic is like this dial up phone. And your challenge in the essay exam is to understand how that topic works. So you have to take it apart piece by piece until you have all of the pieces. and you know how they all interact. You have to show all the dimensions of the essay topic. You have to neatly arrange all the different parts of it for the examiner to see. The more parts you show and the more neatly you arrange these, the more marks you'll get. You'll be happy to know that I analyzed all the previous year topics in the recent previous years, and I discovered that they could all be deconstructed using this technique. And here is what happened when I tried to find out thing 1 and thing 2. All the words in red, highlighted in red, which you see, are thing 1 and thing 2. Now you can practice these yourself, and there will be plenty of exercise which will be given in the course. And so now you're probably thinking that this is getting interesting. You just learned that in nearly all the essay topics you will face in the UPSC exam or any other exam, there will be thing 1 and thing 2 and some relationship between them. So from now on, the first thing you will do when you see an essay topic is you look for the two things that the essay is about. You look for thing 1 and thing 2 and the relationship between them, and it is just as simple as that. This means that in the examination hall, you will be able to deconstruct and analyze 99%, if not 100%, of the essay topics. Let's go back to Spider Man and look at this example in some detail. So, you have to write an essay on this topic, and I want to try the deconstruction technique with you and see what happens. Like I said, the first thing we do is identify thing 1 and thing 2. In this case, thing 1 is power, and thing 2 is responsibility. The next step is also very easy. You just take thing 1 in isolation and ask yourself what you know about it. Just forget about the essay topic at this point. Don't worry about it. Whatever comes to your mind when you think about thing 1, which is power. Now, when you do this, images and ideas will come to your mind. Thing 1 is power. What is power? Hmm. There's always this kind of power, you know, the kind which the world runs on, which powers the cities. It's powering my phone and the laptop which you use, but not exactly what the essay topic seems to be talking about. The essay topic seems to be talking about the kind of power which people have. What else comes to mind? There's always this kind of power, which is the kind of power that UPSC aspirants want in their job and they think that they will have. What else? Who else had a lot of power? Let's see. Hmm. Pablo Escobar was a drug kingpin who was responsible for the deaths of thousands of people. Of course, Hitler had tremendous power, enough power to have started a world war which killed millions. Okay, let's see now what comes to mind when we think about thing 2, which in this case is responsibility. Let's just think about the word responsibility for a moment. Don't worry about the essay topic. Whatever comes to your mind when you think about that word. When I think about it, the image of parents come to my mind because parents are responsible for their children, or pilots who are highly responsible for the lives of the passengers aboard the planes that they're flying, like this pilot, Chesley Burnett Sullenberg, who in 2009 landed a passenger plane on the Hudson River, single-handedly saving the lives of 155 people on board. Remember how I said that there is a relationship between thing 1 and thing 2? And our essay topic says that the relationship between thing 1 and thing 2 is that one increases with the other. So now let's see what this relationship actually is. What is the link between these two things? And does more power bring more responsibility? Is that necessary? Wait a moment, because just just right now, just a few moments ago, when I was thinking about power, I also thought about Hitler and Pablo Escobar. But these people had no responsibility. Pablo Escobar was not even a political leader, and he crippled an entire nation of millions of people. And I'm sure you can think of many examples like this. So it seems that there are people with great power but no responsibility. So you realize that these two things, thing 1 and thing 2, in this case, don't always go together. Now that we know that the relationship is not as simple as it seems? Could there be cases where there could be a lot of responsibility without power? Yes, I think so. The doctors and nurses and scientists who are fighting the coronavirus pandemic right now, like so many other people, have tremendous responsibility, but no power. It's like the whole world expects them to perform miracles, but they also throw stones at them. Could there be more? Could I be missing something? Could there be cases where there is no power and no responsibility? Like the hedgehog in this cartoon who is tired of leadership and does not want responsibility or power. But what about the marginalized sections of society who have no voice at all? The weaker sections of society who are not even included in this debate. They have no power and no responsibility. The only responsibility they have is to survive from one day to the next. And that's hardly what you would call responsibility. That is a fundamental human right. But did you notice that already it would have been a huge mistake to just agree with the topic? And had we not deconstructed the topic, we could have missed the other important dimensions of it. But this is just the beginning. There is usually much more which is hidden beneath the surface of the topic, which you have to dig out and present to the examiner in a nice, organized manner. You deconstructed the topic by finding the main parts and then thinking about them in isolation, like individual blocks or the parts of this camera. And then suddenly the topic became a lot more clearer. And also, the other side of the argument started to become clear. Remember that there are always two sides to an argument, and you have to consider both. You will be given marks for this. If you fail to see the other side, you will lose a tremendous amount of marks. What makes this deconstruction technique so powerful is though it has to do with the way information is stored in your brain, and it is stored in networks like this. These are concept maps, like the one you see here. Now, when you think about a concept, which is usually one word or two words, the network gets activated, and all the other nearby concepts also get activated with it. Now, when you think about the essay topic as one thing, when you think about the essay topic as a single statement without deconstructing it, you activate only one network. Whereas when you deconstruct it, you're thinking about thing one separately and thing two separately. You are activating two entirely different networks and then combine them, which gets you a lot of rich interconnections. We need a wider network to see all the dimensions of the essay topic so that we can convince the examiner that we have completely understood the topic and we write an essay which can cover the whole depth and complexity of the topic. When you approach it like this, it means more ideas, more examples, which basically means better understanding, which translates to a better essay. But it gets even better because another advantage of deconstruction is that your ideas will come out in a much more organized manner and they will be a lot more usable. But don't worry if all these ideas did not come to your mind automatically because this is just the beginning. I can promise you that essay writing is going to get a lot easier.